So if it's okay for you, if you're ready, I can start. The screen is, you can see the screen, okay, can you?
Yes.
Okay, then, well, I put these slides at the beginning because, well, just to place the context, where are we? This is the platform that Action Synergy provides us with all the activities we have, and we are in the group that's called Digital and Innovative Activities. Okay, and it's a group where there's digital storytelling, talent maker that I think were the sessions were on Friday, and also creative STEAM. The session already was last week, and well, the last one in the group, and also the last one in the whole methodologies is this Montec, and they are a group like this. So, yeah, we are going to focus on Montec now. So the Montec methodology or approach, or the project we say, or the methodology that we can apply in the schools, we can use as teachers. It's called it's a blended Montessori approach and creative technologies approach that also aims the successful inclusion in multicultural schools. We'll talk about that because it can be used in many contexts, but also it's very appropriate also for multicultural schools. Okay, so our logo is like this because it blends. It's a blending. So Montessori. So it's a colorful logo, the Mon with blocks and things like this, and then we blended technologies and we choose these vintage letters. The partners that are responsible for this methodology, the partners in the Academia Consortium, are Waterpark Montessori that are placed in Ireland and in Norway, and UDigital, which at the University of Girona in Spain. And well, the people involved are Sarah, Alexandra, Maria, Edward, Edu, Jordi, and myself. And here today with you are both of us, Sarah and myself. Okay. So what will we do in the session? I think we'll talk a lot, but well, just for you to have an outline. We like to put the context of the project, to explain you the context of the project. We think it's very significant why this project arises. It has its story behind it, and we think it's important. And then we'll talk about the two lines, the two approaches, the two focuses, the Montessori principles and the creative technologies, the use of technologies, the creative technologies. Then we will focus in the main question that this project is supporting, is why would Maria Montessori embrace creative technologies? And then we talk about the practice, the Montec in practice, what we have, what resources we have, what learning activities we have. But this is something that will work. The practical activities is something will work in Firenze. So here is more like all this background. And well, this methodology, like all the ones that participate in the academia, have been piloted and tried by teachers. So if we have time, we can talk about some teacher testimonials and have some discussion. Okay, so let's go for the project context. This was a project that was also a European project developed officially between 2021 and 2023. It was a European project with several countries across Europe. We'll see it later. And the coordinators were UDigital, Edu from the University of Girona, probably Maria, and I couldn't be in the Friday session, but probably Maria and Edu talk bit about what we do in the group. And I don't know if the same people who were there are here, because there are these two itineraries or these two blocks, but I will tell you briefly. We are a group that define ourselves as a group working in creative learning, in STEAM, and in social change. So we design learning activities, learning experiences for children, for young people. And here it says, it's what it says in the web. You have to think about that. It says to help them become more creative. We could discuss that, because children, every of us knows that are already creative. Well, critical and develop positive values. We could change this and say that to be more creative, to help to be more creative with the help of technologies, because sometimes it seems that technologies can kill a bit the creativity, especially screens, the technology that you receive with the screens, because you can absorb, and you are entertained and you don't do creative things. So it's this paradigm that we are working with. And the group develops projects at local, national, international level, as you know, and we focus very much the schools that help us, the schools where we try the projects, the schools where we learn from and we try to help also, normally are schools in disadvantaged communities with children from vulnerable families, from newcomers to a country, schools with many languages. It's why we say multicultural schools. It's because there is all this blending of cultures, and sometimes children don't know the language and all this. So it's also a handicap sometimes, or a challenge more than it's a challenge for the teachers. Okay, and how this was the group, but how the project Montec, how why did we have this idea? How was the project born, and why we developed it? And there are two fundamental stages of that, or two seeds that brought us to develop this project. One was that the group, the Digital Edu, we started, we got together. We are also, we have several backgrounds. We are a multidisciplinary group. We have backgrounds in education, in science, in art. We are very STEAM. Engineering, we all define as, it's why we say we are a STEAM group. And our academic backgrounds and our work at the university are in different places of the university, in the Faculty of Education, in the Faculty of Engineering, we have some of us scientific background. So when we got together to build the group, to do these things with teachers, with children, after a short time, we learned about Maria Antonia Canals. She was also a professor at our university, but our university is big and she was already retired. We didn't know her, but we soon learned about her, and we met her and learned a lot about her with her. She's a mathematician. She was a mathematician and also a pedagogist and a teacher, mainly a teacher. She was teaching in the 50s and the 60s in very, very, very disadvantaged communities, very vulnerable, with very many children that were newcomers in the Barcelona region. She went to one of these places and started the school with many difficulties. And she loved mathematics, and she started to think about how these children could learn mathematics in an active way, in a significant way. So she developed very many her own pedagogy. She was also very much Montessorian. She understood very well the principles of Montessori. And she also developed her materials and her own way of teaching. So the materials were self-created and low cost, because you needed to be she needed it to be low cost, and she was doing a lot of work with children, but also she became a teacher of teachers. She spread, well, she was at the end of her life, she was a professor at the university, and she was celebrating these sessions with teachers. And this, well, she had a lab, a lab for the materials and learning of mathematics in an active way. And we were attending her session together with teachers. Here is our colleague Edu discussing with her, and she was not very much into technologies, and at the beginning she couldn't see much how technologies could help her to be positive in all this, on all her philosophy about learning. But we have had very interesting discussions, and well, we learn a lot from each other, especially us from her. Another seat, another stage of the idea of the project was when we participated in the SENIM project. Here is where we were with Action Synergy. It was our first project together with other partners of the Academia Consortium and with the Waterpark Montessori, who were the experts in Montessori and introduced us to all the Montessori approach. And in Dublin, we were doing practical activities. We had all the also we learned about all the theory and the concepts, but we also had a very nice training with very practical activities, and we fell in love with all the approach and the way to do them. And well, here is Sarah, and well, there was Nicole also. Well, Christina in Dublin, and then the story ends. It doesn't end, but the story, a peak of the story is when we could link both seats. Sarah and Nicole came to Girona, met Maria Antonia Canals, and we develop also many ideas from that. And from here, the project was it was like a gestation. We built the Montec project because all of it with this, because we were wondering about this, about the question that sustains the Montec project is, if Maria Montessori were alive today, how could she incorporate technology in the classroom while staying true to her educational approach? And the project has tried to answer this question in a practical way through real activities, which were designed by experts in both fields, in Montessori, in creative technologies, and with the participation of teachers and the piloting of teachers. Okay, the partners of the project were these. We were like two groups of or three groups of partners there, but all of us were designers and implementators. But we had partners who were experts in creative technology, partners who were experts in Montessori, so we learned a lot from each other, and partners who were experts also in teacher training, in piloting, and all together designed the activities and implemented them. So, as I was saying, the Montec learning proposal stands on two pillars, the Montessori learning principles and the creative technologies. When we say creative technologies, we don't mean that a technology by per se can be creative. We mean the use of technologies for creating and learning, or the use of technologies in a creative way. Okay, so well, this is, I go to the outline again, and now it's the turn of the Montessori principles, and I give the floor to Sarah, who is the very expert in that.
Thank you. Do we have slides on the, there we go. So this picture here was a great activity that we tried out with some students at in one of the training sessions at a Montessori school. These are grammar symbols that we'll be playing with, I think, a little bit, also from the Sedin project, but also with the Montec project in Florence. One of the most well-known principles of the Montessori method is it's the most obvious one, is the most visual one that you can see, is the hands-on didactic materials for learning. And they are many and very diverse, but also encompassing all parts of the curriculum for all the ages. So it's a rather ambitious of us to try to tell you all about them in this session. However, these are one of the things that we really wanted to focus on. And through these didactic materials, it's not just teacher helpers, you know, teacher aids for doing a better job as me, the adult, teaching, but it's all with the focus of that the child is learning on their own, and we teachers are just the guides in their learning. And so respect for the child is one of the biggest concepts here, where we prepare an environment for the child to find themselves, to discover their own way of learning, to find interesting things, allowing them their independence, but we also create very specific limits and boundaries within this the learning environment, and then give them freedom within that. And some have, you know, tighter limits than others. It depends on the amount of independence and self-responsibility that they have developed in themselves. But we are working on preparing this for so that each child individually can develop themselves both intellectually with, you know, learning knowledge, but also their psychology, their social aspects, because in this age that the Montec project was geared for was the 6 to 12, you know, elementary age students. And the social and the moral context is so huge for this age group. So it was really important that it had all the elements, and that is exactly what we prepare for in the learning environment. And things that they can find their own mistakes. We learn from our mistakes, and that's a great way of learning, because we won't forget those mistakes. We just see them as a moment to continue to learn. And of course, within this, we just heard about the game approach to learning with you know, getting that motivation going. And it's the same thing with us, that we have where we want to appeal to their inner motivation of the child. So we do this by activating their imagination with, you know, stories and interesting things that we can discuss, and give them opportunities to be full of questions. Because if we can get them to start to wonder and to have curiosity about the world around them, or how things work and how I can make something happen in technology, for example, then they are motivated themselves to find out the answers. And so we, as the adults, don't need to pressure them to continue learning things. We might have to continue activating the imagination and inspiring them and putting out these situations for them to be curious about. But it really is important that the learning comes from inside, from a motivation that I want to find out more as a child or as a student. It happens to be lifelong learning experience. And of course, having them as real life experiences is really important, because then it connects, it gives them relevance, yeah? And the collaboration was also really important. And so all of these came together and were really perfect for the next part, that is the creative technologies. So it was kind of a match made in heaven, as we say.
Yeah, the part of creative technology, well, this is also a picture that well, shows very much what we mean with it. It's not just using technology, it's also blending it with the physical world. You must think what has oranges and lemons and apples to do with technologies and with programming and these kind of things. We'll see this in Firenze. Also, we'll do activities like this, and why do they make sense? But as I said before, we think in creative technologies when we think about technology as a medium of creative expression and creative learning. Creative technologies relate in several concepts. The generalization of creative technology rely in different concepts like the constructionism, the maker education, computational thinking, creative computing, STEAM education, and we could find some others. I'll go very quickly through them. Constructionism is a concept that was introduced by Seymour Papert. He was a disciple, he was a PhD student of Jean Piaget, one of the fathers or the followers of the constructivism current. So, as you know, very summarized, constructivism relies on Jean Piaget was one of the representative that knowledge acquisition is a process of continuous self-construction. You construct your knowledge, and the child builds her knowledge with what is meaningful to him or to her. This is very important, and makes a progress, a process of assimilation from what she or he already knows and adapting it to what is new. So, in summary, learning occurs when a new experience makes connection with an existing knowledge. Okay, it's a way, quick way to summarize it. And constructionism relates a lot of it, but Papert introduced the construction thing, not only the knowledge, but he was saying that learning is enhanced in contexts where the learner is consciously building, engaged in constructing a product. He was saying an artifact that can be converted in shareable things. There are two concepts, the building something and share it, okay? So it's a social thing also. Shareable things or public entities that are meaningful for the share. He puts examples like a robot. He was also the father of Lower and programming, and Lower was a robot and also programming language. So a robot, but it can be also non-tangible things like a poem. Well, a poem is tangible, you hear it or you read it, but well, not artifacts as we think about as normally as an artifact. Okay, a poem, he said, a sandcastle, a theory of the universe. So you will knowledge for whatever, but in a way that you are constructing this and you are constructing this knowledge and you can share it, okay? He wrote all this in many places and has many articles, many books, many papers, but one of the very representative book is Mindstorms, Children, Computers and Powerful Ideas. He talks about all this. It says about how Logo works and how it was invented. Logo is one of the programming language that was first thought, so not only engineers will use, also people that are interested in creating things, programming, but are not engineers, also children, and he remarks a lot in this book, the computer to be an object to think with. create with, to think with. He was very much against, for example, aided computer instruction. These activities in computers that tell you what to do and that you just get a transmission from there. Also, the constructionism, also another important person inside all this wall constructionism is Mitch Resnick. He was also a disciple of Popper. We have a genealogical tree here. He's the father of Scratch, which evolved from Logo, and Scratch is a visual programming language. If you participated last week in the session about digital storytelling with Edu, he talked about Scratch and why Scratch, why we in the creative technology world, we are very fond of Scratch and we use it very much. So, well, he explains it very well there. But, and I think also Maria or Edu told you also about this. Mitch Resnick is the founder of the Lifelong Kindergarten in the Media Lab. This is the lab where they develop all these things. And this name of the lab, Lifelong Kindergarten, is because, he says, I learned how children learn about creative thinking, learning how children learn, and how children learn in the kindergarten and the kindergarten age is imagining what they want to do or they are going to do, like for example a sandcastle in the yard, creating it and experimenting with it. Sometimes here it says play because it's the same concept, playing with it, and sharing with peers, which is the constructivism also important concept, sharing with children in the playground, talking about it, which is reflecting, saying, well, in this castle you could put the flag, or we can put another store, or things like this, which it goes, it sparks also the imagination, and you go round and round in this spiral when you build, when you learn, and all this. So they say lifelong because it's the way we should learn all our life when we are in primary education and and so on. Okay. Creative technology also relate to maker education and tinkering. Maker education encourage children to take control of their own learning, like we were saying in the Montessori approach, while they make, build, create, embed. It's also very constructionist within like workshops, maker space, tinkering space, places where they find material. So it's prepared environment, find material, and they build from there. So it promotes informal, cooperative, and networking learning. Also connection between disciplines that traditionally were separated, like the art, design, robotics, all these kind of things. And it relates with the maker movement, which is very old, from the 60s or 70s. And it's a movement not in education, but in a citizen movement where people get together and have labs and spaces to build and to create things. It's based in the human desire to make things. Do it yourself, do it with others. And now in the digital era, it adds to all that the power of digital, of internet, and it's a mix. It's not just physical wall or digital wall. It's like, let's take the advantage of both. That's why all this I'm telling here, all these concepts. That's why we connected very much with the Montessori approach, because we thought there were many things that were in common, like this taking control of their learning and all that. Okay. And what happened is, I'm still in the maker, what happened at the beginning of when we started with our group and we started doing workshops with children and with teachers, we were very proud of ourselves. We were doing things differently than in a traditional classroom and doing things like this children were learning and were enjoying and were motivating and were engaged. So we were very proud of it, and we were thinking that we were very innovative people. But this was around 2015 when we started. We started a little before, but we also were absorbing all the theoretical background, and we found this John Dewey book, Schools of Tomorrow, from 100 years before, and it's just what he thought he was proposing, and he was thinking that the schools of tomorrow in 1915, so the schools of now, should be like this, and it says solving problems in schools, they would have to be met out of a school. This also relates very much with Montessori and with the real life problems. So we were not so innovative, but the thing is that still traditional school still has a lot of weight, and there are schools that are both, or are also with pedagogies that engage and that allow learning, but also there are many schools that still are in the, even if there's been 100 years in the middle, the learning proposals still sometimes can be disengaging for the children. It's why this creative thing, we have to take care of this creativity thing. Okay, so this is very similar also to Montessori, the maker education principles based on paper ideas. These ideas are presented in a book by Silvia Martinez and Gary Stager. They were collaborators at some time of Papert, and they are learning by doing, learn to learn. You can get it right without getting it wrong. So it reflects very much also in the Montessori. Taking time, this is also very important in Montessori, because every children has his or her own path in time, and it doesn't go to the next stage or the next proposed activity until it has reached a stage that his or she's mature to go for it. Object to think with, also hard fun, and this is something that the child told to Piper. It was hard, but it was fun. That some activity, learning activity, it's fun. It doesn't mean it has to be easy. When it's hard, also you get all this satisfaction. It's challenging. And also the empathy part, do on ourselves what we do on our students. Okay, then there's this computational thinking part. It relates a lot also in the programming, in Scratch, in robotics. The computational thinking was a concept that was resurfaced in 2006 by Jeanette Wing. And she was saying it represents a universal applicable attitude and a skill that everyone, not just computer sciences, would be eager to learn and use. So she was saying it's a literacy, like we could say music literacy or writing literacy, and it's another literacy that the population should have, because it involves solving problems, designing systems, and understanding human behavior by drawing in the concepts of fundamental to computer science. This human behavior thing is something that Papert was saying a lot. Was saying when you tell the computer or the robot by a problem what it has to do, you are thinking in your, what would you do if you were that character or that robot? So it's an epistemological activity. Okay, so when you split the process, when you apply computational thinking, are these the processes. You divide complex problems into smaller size models. You sequence long and complex process in smaller steps. So a very complex problem or large problem, if you apply computational thinking, you are able to split it so you can tackle it. You are not afraid of complexity, doing it in this way. So you organize and analyze data, recognizing logical patterns. You will start from specific cases to arrive to abstract and generalization. So this is a part also of constructing the knowledge. You can create elegant, ingenious solutions, and you discover ways to use this pattern or whatever to automate solutions. You make algorithms with that, and you also evaluate the validity of this solution. The thing doesn't work, your project, your program, the problem you are solving, and you start again. You learn again a lot from the errors. So this again has to do with Montessori approach. Okay, and there's this epistemological part also. And the two last one, creative computer and STEAM educations, are already in the project in other of the methodologies. When we talk about creative computing, we mean using and learning with tools that allow to create and construct physical and digital artifacts. One of them is digital storytelling, where you construct by programming with computer multimedia stories and interactive stories. In the Montec guide that we'll talk about it soon, there are many examples about that. And STEAM education, there's also the Creative STEAM project in the Academia Consortium. And as you know, they are education methodologies that use interdisciplinary approaches to blend the learning of the areas like science, engineering, arts, mathematics. And we say doing so taking advantage of technology. When technology is necessary, then it can get in. Okay, so it connects very much with project-based learning, with real-world problems. So we go back to all these concepts we've been talking a lot. The real-world problems is also very Montessorian thing. And in learning that it's transversal, that it makes sense, that it connects with reality, because when you solve a problem, it's not contained in one area of life. It has all these things, okay? So it's transversal learning between disciplines, which makes sense. Okay, so here we after all this, we think we are ready to answer why would Montessori embrace creative technology, or try to convince you about why would she embrace these creative technologies. So I think, Sarah, do you want to go ahead with that?
Of course.
Points here.
I just finished writing the book on it, right? So we thought about this. I remember being asked in a session with some from the Tinkering Studio in California, and also the from MIT, about, where did I see any discrepancies between, with creative technologies and the Montessori method? And my answer was, I'll tell you when I find out, because I haven't seen any yet. And there's a lot of controversy still in the Montessori world about technologies and how they're supposed to be used and when they should be used and so on. But in the way we're discussing technologies through the Montec project, they're just as hands-on active learning tools, just like anything else in the Montessori classroom. So the way we use it, it's really, we're not the passive just consuming technology, but we're active users. And that's the huge difference of what we mean when we're talking about creative technologies. And so using them, we can connect to real life. We can make meaningful things. They can use these when they're doing their projects in any subject they're doing. They can be using technologies to work on their research and so on, at gathering, putting together data. A lot of the tools we use, for example, like Scratch, like Marta mentioned, they're built in with this sense of autonomy. I can take responsibility. I can teach myself. It's a prepared environment in itself. I can test things. I can try to find out where the answer is without someone telling me you made a mistake. I can find it myself, and I can change it, and I can find where the error is, find what went wrong, change it, and learn from it without any, shame or blame or, negative feelings around this mistake, which is such an important learning process for us. And for example, Scratch, when they talk about it, they say there's low floors, high ceilings, and wide walls. In other words, anyone can start using Scratch. The sky is the limit. That's the high ceiling. You can go as far as your imagination will take you, but then also there's wide walls for expansion and for working within different interests and the way you want to go, which path you want to use. And it's really according to, as it says here, the student's interest, because we can start with one topic, but how the student can then go out from there and work based on their own interests is so important. And of course, the computational thinking is so important in everything we're doing. These are the same steps that they're doing with any material, really. We want them to think and reflect critically and understand how things fit together. And if I move something here, how will it affect other things, and so on. So all of the repetition and all of this is exactly what we're doing in a Montessori classroom. So we feel very strongly and passionately that Maria Montessori would absolutely embrace the creative technologies that we're proposing here. And this picture, I love this picture. This one is one of my favorites because the original that this is based on, there's a picture of Maria Montessori standing at a chalkboard where she's written a poem in her beautiful handwriting, and she's been analyzing it with the grammar symbols. She's been analyzing, parsing, it's called in English, the different parts of speech. And so this was a wonderful image that, was it Edu, I think, that created this one for this project. This is her, with the scratch blocks, and showing how Maria Montessori would probably absolutely be a scratcher. So using Scratch, because it is so, it just incorporates all of the principles that we think of in the Montessori methodology. And yeah.
So no, so this was also Jordi who took this. I think it was Jordi who took this sentence from a book about Maria Montessori from Shirley Walls. I think it works also in Water Park Montessori. And this is this literacy, because everybody can has music literacy, even if they are not going to be musicians when they are grown-ups, or they want not to dedicate their life to this, but everybody can have this music literacy, and it's very recommendable. And so then there was the coding part, and Jordi changed the words.
Yes, yeah.
Yes. So Jordi says, Change Maria Montessori by Mitch Resnick believes that coding, music changed by coding, is an element of culture that children ought to learn. And music, so coding should not be just for talented people, but for engineers. Coding belongs to us all and should be used as a creative medium. It's a new literacy to be able to create multimedia things, to create stories. Yeah.
Creative expression is really what we're looking for, right? So whether it's music or poetry or dance and theater or technologies, coding, for example, it's a way providing all of these options for the child then to be able to decide how they want to express themselves. This is just merely one of them. Yeah.
Well, so about the project. The project, well, we mirror very much in Maria Montessori, and we said just Montessori methodology was originally designed to help children who were in disadvantaged situations. The Monte project and its guide are also designed to help, especially in multicultural schools, or in schools that are in neighborhoods that are in disadvantaged communities, and all this. This doesn't mean that cannot work for other schools, but because of language barriers and things like this, and they are very hands-on activities and engaging activities, we think they are also very appropriate for multicultural schools. So the Montec in practice, we've created in the project a teacher guide is what we are going to work with in annual learning activities, and this is what we are going to see mainly influences some of them, because the guide has many, and we want to we won't have all the time of the world, but we will try to give you a very a background on all this. So what we did in the Montec, the timeline was that we impregnated ourselves of the theoretical framework. We went to talk with these multicultural school teachers to know about their necessities, and from this it came our first proposal of a guide, which is these learning activities with certain structure. We will tell you. This was not public, but then we had also a training of the trainers. And this time was in Girona. Then there was the trainers had times to test with their schools and their colleagues. There was another in Athens to put everything together. And from here is where the Montec guide arise, and this is the public one. So it's one with the contribution of, it has been tested, and with the contribution of teachers. And now in the last stages of the project, that finishing in December, there's been also teacher training in many schools, and it has been implemented mainly in these multicultural schools. So this is an important part of the project, a production of the project, something we created with the project, and is what it's available for everybody, is in this web page, in the documents we provide also in the platform, in the Action and Learning platform. There's all this information, and there's also the link to the guide and the guide. The guide is in all the many languages, and all the languages of the countries that were participating in the Montec consortium, and its structure it's what we call it. It's an introduction to the methodology, because every teacher can also evolve the methodology and adapt to their own needs, to the stage of the children, to what she wants to work, and is structured in 3 big chapters. One of them is the great story of technology, and then there's and now I'll ask Sarah to talk about it, and the other 2 are the fundamentals of creative computing, which we were talking about, but with many examples and using a lot of Scratch, many activities about that, using a lot also, we like a lot of Scratch, but we also put other things like low-cost materials, building things, also low-cost boards, things like this. And then there's chapter more dedicating to the curriculum, so how we incorporate this in across the curriculum. But I like Sarah, if you can, Sarah, tell why we put a great story of technology, what has this to do with Montessori and the stories and all this.
Of course. So I don't know if you did participate in the introduction I did for the Sedin project for that we'll be doing also in Florence. I talked about the stories that we tell as a pedagogical tool, a teaching tool, or an inspiration tool, really, for setting the stage for our students. And so it was, of course, necessary to do a great story for this project. And we chose to do the story of technology, which was developed by a Montessorian here in Norway, and the Norwegian Montessori Association allowed us to use this story. Of course, we can each develop our own versions, as we should do. However, it's included in the guidebook, and some of the background knowledge of it. But it's really just to start and inspire students, and to sort of talk about the development of technology and why we have technology. What actually is it? You know, and we can trace it back all the way from the discovery of fire and what that did for early human beings, and we take them all the way through into modern day. And perhaps, you know, you children who are sitting here listening to the story will be the ones who will invent the next thing on the timeline of the technology, that your invention comes next. And just to get them interacting with the development of technology and how everything is connected, and sending gratitude to everyone who went before us to create the things that we are privileged to be able to use in our world that is very much dependent on technology today. So, and this is really important, just to sort of give a big umbrella to what we are doing, so that they can then work within that area, and also be considering these things like simple machines and all of the things that, you know, a pencil is technology, and it is something that we can use to create, right? So it doesn't have to always be digital or plugged in. And so in the guide, we do have unplugged and plugged activities, so hands-on things that don't require a screen, but are still related to this maker or tinkering, or just creative in a way that is related to technology, but not always plugged into the digital technology. So it very much sets the stage for everything, and including in chapter 3 also about how it relates to all across the curriculum.
Yeah, we like it a lot from when Sarah was telling us about the Montec approach, that there are these 5 big stories. I think they are 5, Sarah.
Yes, yeah.
They give a very holistic approach to the learning. So it connects learning in many areas, and it's this real life, everything is connected, and why we are doing this, and to incorporate a new story about technology, we think it makes a lot of sense also. Yeah. So okay, Sarah was saying there's unplugged activities in the guide, plugged activities. When we say plugged, there's here is the digital part, but we also mix with physical things, cardboards and all these are boards and things like this. Okay, the Montec guide is inspired in many other experiences that have inspired us a lot. We've learned a lot from them, from the Scratch, the creative computing guide from Harvard Graduate School, well, many guides, the Tinkering Studio, and many other resources that allows us to develop all these activities. In the guide, we structured the workshops in a way that we try to detect in which part of the creative thinking spiral are we. Sometimes we can do the whole round. Well, we propose, these are screenshots of the guide. So there are these tags with color that correspond to the spiral, the creative part, the playing, the share, the reflection, all these parts. Okay, and also the sessions are very Montessorian. I don't know if you want to tell it also, Sarah. The spark, well, all the yeah.
So we always in each of the sections, these are a little color coded within each of the activities. And the first, the start, the inspiration. How can we capture the attention and you know, start the inner motivation, so that we start those curiosity questions that we've talked about. Either whether it's a story or an anecdote or something that will capture their imagination to spark it. And then in a Montessori classroom, we're doing small presentations. We don't do whole class, very, very rarely do we do a whole class presentation or lesson. So we'll do small activity lessons with different, with small groups and demonstrating something new, where they then can go and test it out and try out new things with their friends, discuss come back to the group, share what they've learned. And so it's a very active, but also very organic the way it works. It's not teacher structured as much. And with all of the feedback between the pupils, the way they're working together first, so that collaboration, there's always a lot of feedback there. But then also when they return and show and share what they've done, they get feedback also from the group, from the teachers, from their peers as well. And we also really make sure to use that time in their reflection journals, that they can reflect on what they've done. They can talk about things that they found, maybe a new program they designed, and so on. So it's really meant to help them take agency in their learning, that they are taking responsibility and ownership of what they're doing, and it really applies to them personally while they're sharing and learning in a bigger group.
Yes, so another special focus in the guide is the use of the journal, and it's explained why we use the journal and why we encourage in class in these activities that children use the journal. It was what Sarah was saying. And also there's a special focus on the feedback. We like a lot to talk with the students in the activities about feedback, about how this feedback should be kind, specific, helpful, useful to improve, to keep growing, and and we also have rely on or like very much to show it with this video. We have included it in the guide, and I will leave it here in this slide where it's very well demonstrated what it means, kind, specific, and helpful, to receive feedback that then goes to some place and it's useful. Okay. Here are some examples of workshops, but we are in the last 5 minutes, so we want to extend with it. You'll see you'll see the guide. You can explore the guide, and we will do some of these activities in Firenze. What we have tried also in the guide is to have different ways of learning. For example, in the activities of discovering Scratch, there are in the guide many proposals about how to learn Scratch, because children also have different learning styles, and some of them prefer one learning style, some of them others, and they learn better in their learning style. So, for example, on discovering Scratch, some children can like it to discover it with the tutorials that the own platform provides. Other children maybe like better with the demos. So we also in the guide put examples of how to do it. There are many resources to learn Scratch that are provided by the platform, like doing it by some missions with cards. Okay, then also doing it by pairs, by children and this is also very Montessorian. Children are mixed in different groups of age and different knowledge, so they also learn, help each other. Or a challenge, we call it 10-block challenge. We'll try to do it. Discovering Scratch in an unplugged way with a kit box. A kit, it's the character, and and we have the tangible, the physical instructions, the ones following the same color code, and it's Scratch, and you program your mate, which is doing the instructions. It's another way to introducing Scratch and then projecting into the screen. That's discovering Scratch with a tailor. I think Sarah will offer. This is a very, very nice activity. You have also the physical characters and the instructions, and why the instructions are classified in different boxes or houses or drawers, because they do different kind of things. And this is a very nice way to introduce Scratch. Several teachers have piloted this activity. So, discovering Scratch while playing, and several things. And then there are other workshops about relating the physical world, putting it in a digital way, making the stories. Well, we will see. For example, to learn about loops, using choreographies, but also to relate it with cycles in life or in science or things like this. The same with variables, to relate what's an abstract thing and how can it change depending of the different variable components you put in it, why variables are important in programming, all this. Okay, it's 1 minute left, so we'll skip the teacher testimonials, but we'll leave it here in the presentation. That will be, I think it's already, this material is already in the platform, but we'll have your own testimonials, and when you do the trainings also you'll have your own testimonials. So these are from Romania, then it's that they have in Romania what happened with the teachers and with the students. There are student testimonials and teachers testimonials, and also they gave us the strong points of the method and also the weak of points. Sometimes students are not used to work in a team and they find it challenging. Sometimes some activities can be a bit off level, a bit difficult, and things like this. Okay, and or the teachers have to work a lot before starting to learn by themselves before starting, and all this. So well, we open the discussion. If you have time, I'm sorry, we are 1 minute over. We recommend we put homework, but this sounds very strong, this word. But if you can bring in friends a notebook that you like and that you think it's practical, that you like to use as a journal, we'll try to do this journal thing for a sketch, for everything, for writing down. If you can also watch those Austin Butterfly video, it's short and it's very nice. And if you can explore the Monte Guide, it also would be nice. So if you want now to ask questions and whatever, I will try to.